Hey guys, welcome back. I wanted to show the setup in the final scene, and I have the beach geometry here, and I have the surface fluid SDF, and I'm isolating the surface field. So I can preview it here. And what I want to do is I want to isolate the points that are scattered at the beach only where there is water or where there is fluid. And this way we get the thin layer. So using a volume VOP, we're sampling into the surface field and deleting anything that is outside the surface field. So that's our result. And then I'm setting an attribute called wet to 1. And we're giving it this a red color, and it's better to use float just to keep things more organized. We don't have to use colors, but in this case to visualize things we did both. And on the other hand, on the other side, the beach has a wet attribute of 0 and a blue color, and then inside here is a SOP solver, same thing. So this is our, think of it as the black part, the black points, and then the red points. And inside the SOP solver, it's exactly the same thing. Here we're just doing the transfer at a separate, and then adding all this result or this color information onto the previous frame. So let me show it here. So right now we're doing the transfer directly and then multiplying it. What we can also do, similar to the file I showed, is we can do the transfer here between the first input and the second input, same thing, and then we can copy this result onto the previous frame. So we can do that using a wrangle node. And let me check, let me verify something. Yep. So in this wrangle node, I'm gonna copy from this frame, from this input onto this. So I'm gonna use v at cd is equal plus equal. So I'm adding the color from the second input, and then I'm gonna use a point expression and refer to the second input color value, and at ptnum. So now it's gonna keep adding the color over and over. You can see it's accumulating, and then what we can do is we have to make sure that we clamp this result, and we can do that here. So v clamp between 0 and 1, or clamp v at cd dot x between 0 and 1. And the other two are null, so we don't have to change anything. And now because we're adding every frame, so it's going to go over above 1. It's going to go above 1, but now we're clamping it to 1 maximum. And then we need to add the fade off, which can be added here. So let's go up and hit play, and now we get the same result. So it's basically doing the transfer separate, and then adding the addition separate, and then the decay separate. So let me move this out of the way, and that's basically what we're doing here. And inside this node, instead of using the wrangle, we're using point VOP to import that wet attribute from the second input, just like I did with the wrangle node from this node. And then the current wet attribute, we're multiplying the decay, we're decaying this attribute before we add it, and then combining both of them, clamping them, and then passing that into a wet attribute and using it to mix between blue and red. And the switch here is just to make sure that the first frame has attributes. If the previous wet is less or equal to 0, it simply plugs out this input. And it's not required, especially for the scene, but that's how you do it. You basically check if there is data, if the previous frame is empty or equal to 0, and then you switch back to the current input so you don't execute this. And that's it. And then we're isolating the points that have only a wet attribute equal to 1, and that's it. And this is what we're going to export and use in the shader. Thank you guys for watching, and see you in a bit.